Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So, last week we lost two people, actually just a few days ago really, who have been very central to Hollywood. I mean, I would say their combined efforts in acting, in films, and everything else they've done in Hollywood would be about 70 years or more total combined, well, probably even more than that. So, of course, we're talking about Carrie Fisher, who died at the age of 60. It's hard for me to even believe that I just said that. And her mother passed away from a stroke the day after Carrie's death. Debbie Reynolds. Now, the thing is that when I heard about Carrie Fisher, it was just difficult for me to take. And what was interesting is that it was mentioned on social media. And again, usually when an actor or an actress or any celebrity passes on, I mean, I could have said something about George Michael, who I always liked, which was only a few days ago too. Hard to believe he's gone, but when anyone passes on, I usually don't make any sort of comments about it. I mean, it's always sad to lose anybody, and especially if it's people you know. So it feels, how can I put it? It doesn't seem like I can really say anything about somebody I don't know who passes on, who meant so much to so many. So George Michael, I mean, I listened to his music during the 80s. I mean, that was the thing, and then beyond that too. So I would spin his CDs frequently. I mean, I loved his music, but I didn't feel I had anything really to say, because I guess it didn't get to me personally, and also because I didn't know the person. But Carrie Fisher is different in the sense that I was about 6 or 7 years old when I first saw Star Wars, and we're talking in theaters, which tells you how old I am. In 1978, actually, it was in Canada that I saw the film. And I've watched Carrie Fisher ever since then. Not just the Star Wars films, but her film Shampoo, which was her debut with Warren Beatty. When Harry Met Sally, where she really proved she had comic timing. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where she plays a nun. She has a brief cameo in Scream 3, where she's sort of poking fun at herself. She was very good at doing that, in addition to her novels and Wishful Drinking and her stage show, and just her savage wit, really, which was brought up by a friend of mine who didn't know how witty she could really be, but she used the word savage, and it's true, very savage wit. And especially on YouTube, you'll see the AFI specials with Harrison Ford and honoring Harrison Ford and George Lucas, and you can see her wit. But the thing is that for me, personally, it was the fact that, yes, she was Princess Leia. And when you're used to that character, and I'd seen Star Wars so many times until Empire Strikes Back came out and so on, you're used to that character. But in hindsight, it's also the fact that the character was not a typical damsel in distress. So she had a mind of her own, and she gave orders, and she later, of course, became General Leia. And she had that romance with Han Solo, although she was trepidatious about it, thinking it through, do I want to be, with a scoundrel, and so on. And she saves Luke Skywalker, who is her brother, in Empire Strikes Back. He's hanging on from Cloud City, and of course she has knowledge of the Force, or at least can feel the Force, and especially when someone is in pain or needs help, and of course she comes to the aid of Luke. And she saves Han Solo in Return of the Jedi. So the thing is that her character was iconic, but it was different from the norm, even for that time. Women generally, this was even before Ripley and Aliens, so she really stood her ground. She was her own person. That's what I loved about Carrie Fisher. But in particular, it was just, having watched her all these years, and on TV and so on, I felt, a personal connection because I watched her for 40 plus years. And Debbie Reynolds is somebody who I've always watched. Again, I didn't have really the same level of attachment or a personal connection to Debbie Reynolds, but Singing in the Rain, her role in Mother, with directed by Albert Brooks, where she played Albert Brooks' mother. Tammy, my goodness, I think it's called Tammy and the Bachelor, the unsinkable Molly Brown. I mean, there are just so many roles. But she was also a good actress and a good singer and an excellent dancer. So it was really a triple threat, as they say. So to lose these two so soon, within a day of each other, I just had to talk about it because it was just, it's just hard to believe. So may the force be with Carrie Fisher. Hopefully she can explore those galaxies once she's in heaven, and Debbie Reynolds can hopefully join her too. It's sad to lose two such formidable talents. I mean, they were just integral to Hollywood history. They really were, and it's a shame they're gone. So I just felt I had to say that. Now, with regards to Carrie Fisher, of course, she finished filming her last completed role in Star Wars Episode 8 that comes out in December of 2017. So the question remains, did she film all her scenes? Well, apparently she did, but she was supposed to have an extended role into Episode 9. So depending on what that is, it may or may not be resolved. It's hard to say. How are they going to resolve that? I don't know. That's always a tricky thing when it's somebody who had film scenes for a movie and then, they're supposed to appear in another installment in this franchise and they're not going to be there. How do you resolve that? It's different from Gladiator, if you remember Oliver Reed. They kind of CGI'd his face into another actor for scenes that he didn't get to shoot. So this type of thing happens, but what are they going to do? I don't know. I hear there's a CGI Leia or younger Leia, as she would appear in Star Wars, the first one from way back, in Rogue One. So, but I don't know, how do you do that so that it's not disrespectful? But perhaps they'll find a way. I don't know. I hope they do. But clearly, this is the Skywalker saga, and spoiler alert to those who haven't seen The Force Awakens, Leia is Kylo Ren's mother. Kylo Ren got rid of Han Solo. So this is really the Solo story, actually, not the Skywalker saga, but technically, I mean, she's still part of it because she's related to Luke Skywalker. So how do you deal with this reality now? I mean, so they filmed those scenes, and now what? What do you do with Episode 9 if she was supposed to have a role there? We'll see. Anyway, rest in peace, Carrie and Debbie Reynolds. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.